how are you guys doing? We're back with a lesson. Today we are going to draw a wolf, and we're going to do it in a very colorful way. So, I'm going to draw with a marker. I actually want you to draw with a pencil, if you can. I've heard that sometimes it's hard to follow my pencil marks because they're very light. So I'm going to start with a marker just so that you can see well. But it would be best to do this with a pencil because it's a slightly difficult drawing to make. So we're going to start out here from the bottom center and come all the way up to about a third the height of the page with a slightly wavy line. You can see this is 1/3, 2/3, 3/3, or thereabouts. It's an estimation. Alright, we'll come up to this point, and up until now we've gone at this angle with one line and then turned straight upwards. Next we're going to come this way to about here. So this line looks something like that. Alright, right now we're drawing sort of the outline of the wolf's head in a non-detailed sort of way, just so we get the shape in there. So this is the top of the center of his head, and then we're going to add the ears. So one ear goes up and off the page this direction, and the other side of it comes straight up. You can use kind of wavy lines to indicate fur. The other ear goes off in this direction and comes straight down here. So that's the start of the head. Next, we're going to keep coming down and curve to the right a little bit and add some lines that go this way. So this will sort of frame where we're going to put the face. I'd like to get to the eyes last, because if you stick the eyes in there and they're in the wrong place, it messes everything up. So it's best to get everything else in there, go for the eyes later, and then see if they're correct. You can always erase if not. So let's start with the snout down here. So the whole snout is going to be in this area, and it's going to start off with a line that comes downwards, curves around, and then goes off to the left like this. Now we're going to add a little triangle right here that indicates the side of the mouth, and another little line right here to indicate the underside of the chin. Alright, now we need to do the nose. So the nose comes flat across the bottom, up a little bit to the left, then changes directions about halfway, a little before halfway, goes up and to the right. Then we come across the top with a line that just goes slightly downwards in the center and across to this side. And then we can just add two curvy lines here and here for the nostrils. Alright, so that part of the snout is pretty much done. Let's go up here and add a vertical line. This is where the eye is going to meet the brow. So we're looking at the eye from the side, so we can only see part of it. And it has a sort of almond shape peeking out from behind this line that we just drew. You can go ahead and draw the pupil. I know I said we were going to do the eyes last, but we're getting towards the end of the line work phase of the drawing. Now the pupil for the other eye is going to be right about there. You want to make sure that it's level. And the pupil is right about over this part of the mouth that you drew. So that should give you an indication of where this eye is going to be. This eye is curved on the top and generally kind of flat on the bottom, and then has two lines right here to connect the iris. And then the pupil goes up here. Alright, we're getting there. We have a couple lines inside the face that kind of connote where the fur is going and the shapes in the fur. When we color this, these lines will be more important. Alright, so this line comes up here and joins with the eye then comes around the eye and above it, straight back down. We've also got a line like this on this side, which comes over to just about under the ear, the center of the ear, and then comes down with a wavy line to about there. Let's draw the back of the neck in this area. And there's a little bit of a line behind the cheek here that helps give some form to the snout, as well as some lines under the eyes here and on this side. Alright, so I think we're going to add a couple more lines onto the neck that just trace the patterns of fur, and I think that should be good. If you didn't get this on your first try, no worries. I didn't get it on my first try either. This is probably the third time through drawing it just to make sure that it's right. So go ahead and either erase a couple lines or start on a new piece of paper and try again until you get it. The most important thing is the overall shapes, getting those correctly without any of this detail in the middle. And then if you can get the shape of the snout and the placement of the eyes, the rest of the stuff is somewhat trivial. So I did a pencil drawing earlier. I'm going to pull that out so that I can color on it without having these marker lines get in the way. So hang on one second here. Alright, so you might not be able to see those lines too well, but that's okay. I think you can still follow along by just watching where the colors go. Here's the nose. We're going to start by adding in a sort of shading that goes from light to dark, but in color. So we can pretty much put any color we want onto the drawing as long as the lightness or darkness of that color is correct. So this is the picture that we're working from. So you can go ahead and pause the video here, or you can check the link in the description. The photo is in there. As long as your colors are as dark or as light as you see them in this picture, you can pretty much put whatever colors you'd like. I'm going to go through and start with green at the nose and then kind of go outwards and end up at red in this order. Sorry, I'm going to start with yellow and green and then go all the way to orange at the bottom of the drawing. You'll see what I mean as we go. Alright, so let's get started with that. I'm going to start by just go ahead and shade that nose in with black. I think I might use my marker for this. So let's just go ahead and start that. I'm going to leave those lines that we drew earlier for the nostrils in light so that they stand out just a little bit and we have some detail on the nose, and just shade the rest of this nose in with black ink. Alright, so some of you might be asking, do we have to do a wolf? I'm not getting a very good wolf drawing. You know what? You can go ahead and do whatever animal you'd like. If you find a picture of a good animal that you'd like to do and it looks a little bit better, you can use the same style of coloring and do it in the form of that animal. That's totally fine. This video is meant to be inspiration for you, not something that holds you back. Alright, next we're going to start with some yellow and put it on the lightest parts of the cheek. So I'm just going to shade in this area with yellow. These are just the cheapest colored pencils from Walmart, nothing fancy here. So I'm going to avoid this area in the cheek that we drew earlier. Let me highlight some of these lines for you so you can see them a little bit better on the camera. So we've got the ears up here and that main line there. This is the side of the face here. Okay. So, that line that we put on the cheek earlier is a slightly darker area, as you can see if you take a peek at the picture we're working from. So I'm going to avoid that with the yellow because the yellow is going to be used for the lightest areas. So I'm going to throw a little bit maybe towards the underside of the corners of the eyes here, and a little bit, and you know what, I think I'll call it there. So that's enough yellow. Let's go in with yellow-green. So this yellow-green is going to be used for the transitions from the lightest parts near the nose into the slightly darker areas. All right. I'm going to bring my black marker back out and hit the mouth line that we drew with black, just to make sure that that stands out. And let's go ahead and put a little yellow-green on the underside of the mouth, down near the chin, and along these areas of the cheek. Good. All right. That'll help the snout stand out, because we'll put this light color against a dark color back here to help give some spatial dimension to the drawing. All right, we're going to move straight on to the next green. This green is going to go, I think, across the top of the nose. So I would like to draw a stripe that goes up from the nose towards the eyes, then straight up here, and goes inwards towards the top of the head, almost like a giant arrow shape. So I'm going to fill all this in with some green, but make sure my lines follow the grain of the fur on this wolf's snout. So it can go outwards a little bit here from the middle line. It can go up and down. As long as it's following the general curve of the wolf's face, it's going to help make this wolf look three-dimensional. If you would rather do this in marker, that's fine too. The reason I'm using colored pencil is that it's easier to get lighter shades than with marker. You can't really modify the lightness or darkness of a color. With colored pencil, you push really hard and you get a fairly dark color. With marker, it's always dark. So when we get to the darker areas, I think I might switch to some marker, because these cheap colored pencils are not putting out a whole lot of dark color, which is what we're going to need sooner or later. Alright, let's go up and get the eyes with a black marker. So, this eye has a nice little curved shape to it, which we drew earlier. And I'm just going to shade right around the eye in black. Okay. You can come right over the top and shade the pupil with black. Let's do the other side as well. There we go. Alright, that looks pretty good. Okay, next, we're going to work our way out from the top of the head with some darker green. So this line is going to come up near the ears, and we're going to add a darker shade of green in this area on both sides. And come down the base of the ears as well. I think I might add a little yellow up here just to keep things interesting. next, let's go back in with this dark green and trace along some parts of the ears on this side as well. And this could also be done very well with a dark green marker. Or if you push hard enough, you can get it done with a colored pencil. Okay, so you'll remember we drew this line from the wolf's eye down to this area and back up. That can be done with this bluish green or even like a teal. I think I might use both. So I'm going to start with the brow, and I'll leave this part right above the brow a light color. And I will add some blue into this area. Now this is a very light color. It might not even be showing up on the camera. So I'm going to switch to my darker blue. Ooh, just broke it. Again, following the grain of the fur, it comes down the face in this direction, out from the eye. So it joins up, this whole curve that comes up around the eye joins up with the area on the cheek that we drew before. Like I said, it's going to get a little bit darker in there. So let me take my dark green and add some of that into this area and follow it down from the eye as well. Come up around the brow and down along under the eye here as well. Alright, we've got some of the same on the other side of the cheek. Right under this shape that we drew on the eye, there's this sort of line that goes up in this direction from the snout. Alright, and then we've got darker shapes coming off in this direction from the brow. We're going to follow down this way, leaving the area right above the brow at least somewhat light, just to highlight those eyes. We can add another stripe down here of blue that comes up this direction from the snout to show the wolf's cheekbones. And another stripe of color that comes right along the outline that we made earlier this way. Let's get some blue onto these ears. Alright, this pencil's getting very dull. I'm going to need to give it a sharpen real quick. Almost there. Okay, there we go. One of the fun things about drawing a wolf this way is that you can get very kind of scribbly, and it doesn't matter so long as you've done a lot of work getting the placement of the features in the beginning of the drawing. Alright, now as we come down from here, I'm going to use some green coming this way, go through blue, and then start using some purple in this area. So we've got the underside of the chin, and it's fairly dark down here, and the fur sticks out this way. I'm going to outline the chin just a little bit right there so I can tell where it is. Okay, good. And some of this color comes all the way up to here. So far we've just gone through yellow, blue, and green. It's going to start getting a little bit more colorful and fun as we get into purple, then magenta, on down the line. Let me move these back up so you can be reminded of the order that we're going through. Okay, good. So let's break that blue back out and use some of it under the chin, just an area of blue. This would be another great place to come back with a marker, or if you have a nice dark blue colored pencil, to add some of that darker color to it. Alright, we've got fur kind of fanning out under the chin here, and we're going to switch into purple. So the purple's going to come down from the corner of the mouth in this direction and curve from here, meeting up with the blue. There we go. Alright. Now the purple can be brought up into this area as well. We're going to go now from purple into magenta. Now we're starting to go from this curve that came out from the eye and into an S curve. So some of the fur is starting to curve back this way. Let's start getting into red. You know what? Maybe we'll get a little bit more magenta up this way first. Okay, there we go. Let's start using red. Alright, and into orange. Okay. I would like to take some purple, and in the picture I can see this dark area coming down under the snout. So I'd like to emphasize that with a little bit more purple, since if you're just talking about pure colors, purple is one of the darkest. Now that's interesting. The colored pencils don't want to color over each other. This blue that I put here, I color behind it with purple, and it fills in the gaps where there wasn't any blue, but it mostly leaves the blue alone. So that's something to consider as we go to add markers onto this drawing. The ink might not stick. I'm not sure. We'll just have to see. This is my first time through it. Let's get some darker purple up here in the ear. Alright, so time to experiment a little bit and see what markers will do. Maybe they will work, maybe not. We'll just have to see. So I'm going to start with purple, as I mentioned, and go down here and just add a couple strokes here and there. Can always add more, can never really take it away. Let's throw a little blue on here as well in this area. It's working pretty well. I like it. All right, good. All right, looks nice, and it adds a little extra saturation too that we couldn't really get with the colored pencils. So if you've got some areas up here by the ears that you'd like to add a little extra green on, go ahead and do that, just to get some of that dark color in there. Coming down the middle of the face, there's a little opportunity here for some extra dark green. Don't go too far, you don't want to mess up the face, but it can use a couple touches here and there. Let's break out this dark blue and work around the ears. I really want to get a dark color in the ears with a very ragged line, because there's a pretty deep, furry area in there that doesn't have a whole lot of light getting into it. It's very dark, so this will help. Alright, let's get that purple out again. And come up near the mouth and get this area with a little bit more color. Good. I would like to get a little bit more dark blue around the eyes just to get them to stand out, since that's such an important area. And if you have a light blue marker, my light blue pencil is what I would use for this area, but it wasn't really showing up. There was just not a whole lot of pigment in that pencil, so I'm going to use this light blue marker to fill out this ear a little bit more. I think I did a little bit too much, but you have the benefit of learning from my mistakes. When I say too much, I think there's a few too many lines right here, but oh well, that's okay. Alright, I think I'm about to call it there. I think I would just like to add a little color into the wolf's eyes, and why not make it orange just to stand them out. Good. I think we're going to stop there. Hope you guys enjoy this lesson. Again, if wolf is not your thing, if you want to choose a different animal that you can manage to draw, go ahead and do that. And I hope you enjoy. You can also vary the color scheme however you'd like, but rainbow order looks pretty nice in my opinion, so I can't wait to see your results. Thanks. Bye.